So the reason
Go ahead.
I think that to answer your question about why black women need to correct it is because we are the ones out here showing our asses.
Not all of us. I don't
Um,
show
No,
my.
so let me finish.
we're
Let me finish.
not.
Let me finish making my point, please.
Well, baby, you have made several points, and we have sat here and listened to
Oh,
you.
I'm answering your question. You asked why do black women need to be corrected? We see how these people see us.
White people.
Hmm.
I just I'm not saying white people.
Who?
Okay.
Well, who you were when you say? Just I
Let
just
me,
want to be clear
let
who
me
you.
finish making my point.
I want you to, but I want you to be clear about who is these people.
I'm going to make my point.
I just want
Okay.
to know who these people
We're
are.
doing well, ladies. We're doing well. Let's just
I
talk
finished
one at
making
a
my
time. One at a
point.
time.
No, you
Finish
can.
making,
I'm sorry. I'm not taking away from your point. I'm just trying to figure out who these people
can,
are that we're talking
can
about.
I get to it though?
Yeah.
I'm gonna walk you to it. Walk you to it.
We're not seeing correction coming from love from black men. We're seeing degradation. We're seeing disrespect. We're seeing to me, sometimes our black brothers are more dangerous than white men.
No one's trying to teach anybody these things that should make them better, to not be loud in Walmart, to not act like this. No one said, hey, this is not how you conduct a disagreement. No one knows how to fight fair or the correct way to, for me to, and that I watch. I'm a teacher as well. I taught middle school, 6, 7, 8 grade, and you're right, they're very
Yeah.
you dang near have to fight these kids. And they're big as you are. You're right, you're not my mama. But at the same time, these kids were the biggest babies and would cry, turn around and cry on your shoulder because there was no one at home. There was no one that loved them. And the most love that they got was from them teachers that came there every day.
We're not going to, we are sitting here saying we're having a conversation. We're not being more respected because we wear different clothes, because we speak a certain way, because you went to a certain school, because your hair is a certain. You are being disrespected because of the color of your skin and who you are. That changing your clothes, that we can't say that there shouldn't be standards and things like that. She's speaking to that. I don't think she's exiled for that, but I also think it doesn't speak to the deeper issue that gets us disrespect. We have sat up, we have gotten the education, we've gotten 2 master's degrees, we've gotten certification, we've gotten all the things, and we still have disrespect. So it's not about her the clothes. I just think her comment was short.
Black women has monopolized criticism. There's no one who is more opinionated than black women
That's true.
Well,
about
speaking,
about other things, but yet will tell you that no one can say anything about them. So
That's
that to
true.
me, it's not fair.
And they are paid to push a certain agenda. And I don't think people are really recognizing that. The same way with Christianity, that is a colonial thing that has been pushed to control black people. But y'all don't want to have that conversation.
ooh,
Allow y'all feed people.
Well, that's your opinion.
So
And
it's
you
not
well,
my
said, no, it
his,
is your opinion. But God,
that's
we're not here to debate this.
yeah, but see, we're not here to debate, but I made a point.
See, you want to be combative, and that's not what
I'm
I'm here
not
for.
competitive at all, but
Look at
I
Gen
find
X.
it offensive because you would never say anything about anybody Islamic faith. You would never say
I didn't
anything about
say
anybody.
it's
anything
the
about
same
another
thing.
You
It's
faith.
the
would
same
never say
It's the
anything
situation.
about.
same
You
thing.
would never say anything about any Jewish faith.
Listen, I'm not about to debate
With
religion.
that, you would never do that.
Mel,
I'm
what you
not
got?
about to debate religion. I said what I said, and that's what I mean.
All right, and I love y'all to death.
I brought it up.
Hold on, Gen X. Hold on, Gen X. Look at y'all. Ladies and gentlemen, we have an amazing conversation for you today. I do these panels because I have inquiries. One of my biggest flaws in life is I can't go along with my unanswered questions. If I have an unanswered question, I need that answer. So I'm not gonna go within myself alone. I'm gonna reach out to people that I have interest in their viewpoints, and today is no different. The question that everyone has, I come across. What's really going on with black women? What's going on with that struggle of black women? We hear about it so often, hear about it so much. So there's no better people to ask than black women themselves. So I have 4 amazing women here that I think are going to be able to help us with that answer. We're going to start left to right, from my left to right, and I ask you ladies to introduce yourself however you feel free. I would prefer if you say your name, your city. If you're comfortable with age, do so as well. And answer this question here for us. What defines a strong black woman, and has that definition helped or hurt black women? We're going to start with beautiful Nana.
Hi, everyone. Like he stated, my name is Beautifully Nana. I am a content creator, a mother, a teacher, jack of all trades to say. I am from Dallas, Texas. I am 39 years old. And to me, the answer to what defines a strong Black woman, the idea of a strong Black woman to me definitely is rooted culturally, narrative in the Black community and beyond. It typically describes a woman in its resilience, um, emotional toughness, the ability to endure hardship. They're the caretaker of the family and the community. They're always resourceful. So we have, to me, the emotional depression that we always have, the dehumanization of it, the medical neglect that Black women suffer, isolation. So, with all of that being said, it's just been a source of empowerment and cultural pride to me, but also the double edged sword. The strength of a Black woman shouldn't mean silence or self sacrifice or suffering. It is
Mhm.
a challenge that is involved in the definition to make room for complexity, softness, vulnerability, rest. I mean, being a strong Black woman shouldn't be being strong without being superhuman. We are still human to me. So that is my
Awesome. And on that second half of that question there, has it helped or hurt Black women?
to me, I think that it just really depends on the Black woman and how it's being given to them. You got to come with a Black woman, and to me, in the way that you are delivering it to them, and how they respond determines if it's going to hurt them or not. It's ultimately up to you, to me.
Hmm. All right, thank you. All right, Lisa.
I love the way beautifully Nana put it because it is a cultural badge of honor. But now, okay, so let me start off. My name is Lisa Blunt. I am a licensed professional counselor and I am a trauma informed coach. I work with Black women every day, high achieving Black women who kind of encounter this strong Black woman esque or embrace it or not even. So I like the way she put it, and I also want to add that as much as it is a cultural badge of honor, it is also a psychological burden, and I think that's a part of what she was spelling out too. It keeps us in a place where we are. I'm gonna go straight to if it's help. You said if it's helping us or if it's hurting us, right?
Yeah.
So I think in my as as a therapist and coach, I can see it showing up every day. I see how we internalize it. I see how it causes us to silence ourselves, how it causes us to have anxiety, how it causes, which you also mentioned too, right? Beautifully, Nana. It also causes us to sacrifice and put us in a mode where we feel like we have to survive. So, in that sense, I think as much as it has been something that has defined us, to a mode of survival, it has also kind of put us in a place of survival. So I also like what part of what Beautifully Nana said in terms of us defining that for ourselves, in terms of us defining or deciding that it's a space for us to be um to not just survive, but for us to excel in a space, or to actually, I'm sorry, to even to have rest and to give ourselves the space to define it for ourselves, where we don't have to feel like we need to be strong without being able to be soft and be able to rest, and to that we have to keep pushing. So that's why I'm going to pause at, because I'm like jumbling. I feel like I'm jumbling stuff together, but that's where I'm pausing at because I feel like somebody else is going to add on something good for that.
That's all good. Kendall.
So I'm Kendall O. Williams. I'm the host of Mom Tea podcast and the author of Reclaiming Your Identity. I am 52 and I reside in the suburbs of Atlanta. For me, I think the Black woman thing is a trope, right? It helps us to survive and it helps us be resilient because we've had to be resilient and we've had to be the ones that survive not only for ourselves but for our entire families. But it also takes us away from being able to admit that we are also exhausted.
Mhm.
We deserve softness. Resilience is great to survive, but we shouldn't have to constantly be overstimulated and in survival mode. We deserve to rest. We deserve softness. And I do believe it has hurt us as well because that is the expectation of us all the time. And we are placed in positions of having to be strong for not only ourselves, but our entire families, dependent upon your situation. And then that also keeps others from seeing us as one who deserve or need softness. Our tears aren't even recognized because it's like, why are you crying? You're strong. So when we need help or when we are over here drowning, no one sees that because they always see Black women as strong Black women and the saviors of all.
Miss Matt.
Well, I went, y'all leave me. Is there anything left, ladies?
Whatever you give, sis.
Look,
So,
amen.
my definition of a strong black woman is a woman who is, she's industrious, she's compassionate, she's wise, she's God fearing.
Mm,
Just want to add that into that because when you understand that you become the anchor in your family, your community, your neighborhood, you understand you can't carry everything on your own. You have to learn how to balance balance that out. And was sometimes we can be overly sacrificing to people. I'll say this: my buried my mother at 61 because sometimes what I've learned is that self sacrifice has to be cut off. Um, a strong woman is what I've learned. My name is Miss Matt. I introduced myself. My name is Miss Matt. I'm a retired school teacher. I'm 51 years old. I'll be going back to school next year because I'm too young to be retired. I taught 30 years in public education. I'm going back to school, start law school next fall. Okay. Because I'm too young to be retired. I still got to work. But I want to say that the most important thing I've learned in this walk as a black woman is learning how to tell people no.
mm,
Tell people no. Because sometimes it became a distract at the expense of your sanity, your health, your mind, your, I don't know how to describe it, your balance. And sometimes we over sacrifice for other people at the expense of our mental balance. So being a strong black woman, I say that we've learned how to master. I've learned how to master that word no. No without explanation. It's just no. She understands that self-care is important. Even when it comes to your husband, your children, you have to take care of yourself. Rest is necessary. She's a problem solver because we know the black woman, everybody comes to us with their problems. Even our husbands. Even when they make a mess of stuff. Our children. We have to be able to problem solve, critically think, work things out. So it becomes, and I'm just gonna say this, I think that's something God has gifted us with. That's a God given thing to us. It has something to do with our color. I do believe he gave us a little bit of extra something because he knows what comes along with your skin color. If you're a woman, you're black, you may be dark, light, whatever. But I do believe he's graced us with certain kind of strength, endurance, resilience, love, humility, and how to apply those things in our lives. So um, I have nothing else because the ladies, it's everything.
Well, good. You know, you did great there. And yeah, if y'all seen any of my content, y'all know I'm a little challenging to
So
black women.
I'm 51. I forgot. I'm a
51.
Generation X baby.
I love it. I love it. Y'all know I'm a little challenging, and I'm actually having this in a good faith conversation here. That's the goal, to get those answers. And you guys kind of hit on the similar things that I want to go to next, and especially Ms. Met when she said resilience. And you start to mention specifically with our race, it's maybe a little bit more on that. And is essentially what I'm looking for in this conversation, because
Mhm.
some would say, well, what's the difference between a black mother than any other mother out there?
A
So,
lot.
and
A lot.
that's what I want to hear right here. In what ways has the world demanded resilience from black women specifically, but denied them rest? Let's get some specifics. So let's start with Lisa on this one.
Uh, I mean, it's just to build on to everything we talked about initially, but the world expects resilience from us, but doesn't allow us to rest. We live in a country that was built on free labor, right? And they don't, and they make no qualms about it. They don't even care. So to ask for free labor, like I work with women every day who are doing the jobs of 2 and 3 women, 2 or 3 people, not just women, 2 or 3 people, and getting paid for the job of one, but also told that they're not doing enough. Literally, I can work with somebody who is on medical leave. Once that person goes on medical leave, they got 4 and 5 people doing that one person's job. But meanwhile, while that woman was sitting there, and it's funny because some Black women challenge this. So even we don't even always understand how we internalize this drive, this workhorse. Like keep doing, keep going, keep serving. We've been brought up to serve. We've been taught to serve, and we some to a degree we enjoy serving. Like that's a part of that is a part of culturally who we are, who we become. But then it's like it's almost exploited. So keep doing, keep going, keep being, and then just that you have to be this unbreakable figure, that you can't be vulnerable. And when you do say, ouch, you're being dramatic.
Yeah.
So then you get gaslit.
Yeah.
So
if I can't jump in there, I want to say this while I'm thinking. Nothing moves in this country without the Black woman. Nothing. Nothing. And our country knows that. Nothing.
So let's be specific on that, if you don't mind.
Okay, so let me just use for example. When it comes time to vote, this country depends. I'm gonna just use for example. I'm gonna go back a little history. When the white woman wanted the right to vote in the 1920s, who did she recruit? Black women. Ida B. Wells, everything with Cookman. They gave the impression that our women would have the same opportunities. Okay. And then I'm gonna use another example. During the civil rights women's movement, when they wanted the right to have a bank account, houses, they came to us because we know the blueprint, we know how to plan, we know how to mobilize, we know how to recruit. We know that when we are favored and people respond to our call to action. Every time we have an election, they come and get us because nothing moves without us. So we carry that burden of being like an example to other races. They look to us that now they're not going to admit this. They're not going to admit this. They're gonna say, well, no, because our women have always been treated like we the bottom when really we the top. We always been the top. So I just say, like I said before, the Black woman, God graced us with things in our gifts and our hands, our talents. And like the sister was saying, when we work on these jobs, we could do day job. We master whatever we do. And then it gets to a point where you can't be too good because then you showing them up. So we can't help it. We can't help it, but it shows. And I'm grateful God made me a Black woman. Because I couldn't imagine being in another culture, another skin color, because I understand that there's power in this Black skin.
All right.
That's what.
All right, Kendall.
Yeah, I wanted to add to what Lisa was saying as well. As far as the work, we're expected to do all. We're expected to save and serve and sacrifice, but it's not reciprocated. And if we do so without doing it with joy and without the smile and this glee, then we're looked at as having an attitude. In the work culture, if you don't engage with your coworkers, it's a problem. They're always watching Black women in corporate America. We are typically paid far less than our white counterparts and do far more than our white counterparts, whether it be male or female. I've been in my corporate profession. I'm no longer in corporate America, but I've been in that profession for many, many years. And I've had people that came in that are younger than my children that feel like because they have certain certifications that outranks my performance, but I outperform them with my eyes closed. I was working doing chemo sessions in solving problems when I should have been solely focused on my health. But as a Black woman, we feel like we're always having to be moving,
Mm-hmm.
doing,
Doing.
and we don't want to get behind. So I literally would have people call me while I'm getting chemo to solve problems. And I fought myself because we have been conditioned to think that's what we have to do all the time. Because if we drop the ball, then we're going to be looked at as a failure. Then our jobs are in jeopardy. When and oftentimes your job is always in jeopardy as a Black woman because you are a threat to every single person in which you navigate corporate spaces with.
You have to prove yourself.
Nice. All right, beautiful. Nana.
I mean, like Miss Smell said, y'all have said it all. I definitely agree. Black women, to me, have always been expected to be the pillars and the strength of the family, the community, workplace, social movements. Yet the system seems to not be resilient and often refuse to grant us the dignity and care and rest that we need. But this paradox is not new to us. It's historical, it's the structure, and it's ongoing. The world has a demand for the resilience of a Black woman for centuries. And it's not a virtue, but it's definitely necessary for us and our own survival. But the truth and the justice is just ask, how much more can we take? When will we be allowed to rest? And as Black women, we deserve more than just survival. We deserve peace, the softness, the safety, and definitely the rest, as y'all said, because we do not know how to say no. Even when we're on our last deathbed, we are still, like you said, solving someone else's problems. We're feeling guilty within ourselves because we can't do what we know we're capable of doing, but we shouldn't be doing. Like you said, it's just always something on our back, even when it shouldn't be. And like you said, we give so much, but we never get that in return. So it's a constant heartbreak, I think, to Black women. And when we finally, to me, just stop and focus on us, I think it'll be a lot better for our children and everyone else around us to just finally start figuring out what's going to make us happy and what's working for us.
I do feel like this moment now that we are in is one of those moments where we are taking our time to focus on us. And I love seeing it. I love seeing it. I love how you will hear people say, "Oh, you don't hear white women talking about they independent." You don't hear it because they didn't have to say it. We were the ones fighting it. They didn't need to.
Yeah,
But
they
now
need
you
to.
hear it. Now you hear them. They have been around, but they haven't had to be as vocal because we've been vocal. We've been the ones who took on the idea. Like even when we talk about the strong Black woman, it has developed into other types of tropes, right? We angry. We don't get a chance to rest. We don't get a chance to just kind of be. And then when we do say something, y'all complaining, you bitter, you nasty, you angry. Like at what point do we get to just
Should be
be?
shut down. You be
To
shut
be,
down.
When
to
do we just
simply
get to
be.
be?
I'm
And then,
ready. I want
and then
to
I
be. I don't want to have to show up and do. I don't want to have to clean up. I don't want to have to set up. I don't want to. I don't. Where can I just show up and just be who I am without you looking at me saying, "Oh, she this, she that, she that." When can we just be?
I don't
it's
want to have
like
to save anybody.
it's like
Saving, yes.
it's
On my
like
my platform, as Mel knows, it caters to speaking on behalf of moms, right? I have garnered quite a few of white women, but I stand on Blackness all day,
mhm,
every day. They get very upset when I only speak on Black moms. And I have to check them and tell them, one, decenter yourself because I am a Black mom. And then they feel like I'm only here to serve them. When I make
gatekeeping.
it very clear to them, I'm not here to serve you, I'm here to serve my purpose. If
Hmm.
you benefit from that, count yourself grateful. But I'm not here to serve you, I'm here to serve
Also,
my purpose.
I just think too, that humanity is lost towards Black women. Us
Amen.
being treated as human beings, that's lost when in regards to us. Everybody keeps saying how we expect it to be like we some type of Wonder Woman. I'm telling my age. We the bionic woman, we Wonder Woman, we Superwoman. But the humanity that people do not apply to us as if we don't deserve humanity. We don't
Mhm.
deserve to be treated as human beings. It's almost sometimes it's like dogmatic the way people approach us. And you be saying, you're talking to me, and you talk to me with respect. We expected to give respect and not we don't get that respect back. We expected to honor people who don't honor us. And that can weigh on you, that can weigh on your heart, your emotions, your love. And I just feel like as a community, because so much what we face when we go out in society dealing with other things, it's a war zone with the workplace, like she said. You're always expected to prove yourself to these people when you work. And then I'm gonna say this: when you outshine them, it's a problem. It's always sometimes like you have to minimize yourself so you won't make others feel inadequate. So a black woman, we eat a lot. We eat a lot. When I say we eat of a lot of our pain that we endure as we move out in this world. And a lot of our women, people say black women complaining. No, when you eat the stuff that you need to say, you suffer in silence. And that creates depression, oppression, anxiety. It creates all other
Autoimmune
things.
diseases like lupus and
Yes,
arthritis,
Fibromyalgia
yes.
fibromyalgia. Yeah.
is common in
Cancer,
Black women.
cancer,
Fibroids,
can-
fibroids. But everybody's complaining about the black women airing out her grievances. But it's time for us to air out our grievances. My grandmother was an angry black woman. I could never understand why she was angry, but she was always eating that pain, always eating that pain. And she really wasn't able to. We have time where we have to, like she said, we say ouch, and what you say ouch for? You know, you have to, and my lady up there as a trauma person, she understands you gotta let that stuff out. Not saying you gotta pour it out on everybody else, but that stuff has to come out or it'll kill you.
Yeah.
And as
Definitely.
someone, and this is a credible conversation, by the way, ladies, but as someone, my content does talk about often the way that black women air out their grievances. I do appreciate that it is time to air out grievances, as you all are saying. However, I'm someone who complains about the way in which they air out their grievances. So that goes to our next question here. What is the proper way to offer correction to a black woman? And if you don't mind giving a public example of someone who you believe that does it the right way. On this one, we will start with Kendall.
I'll use my husband as an example because I've been a single mom since I was 17, so I'm very independent. I've always been very independent. I've been on my own since I was 19 years old. My husband, I've been married, divorced. I experienced domestic violence. I come from a home where there was domestic violence and all those things. So I have been in survival mode since I was 5 years old. Okay. Witnessing my father be domestically violent with my mom. And you imagine you're growing up, then you get into a relationship at some point and you experience domestic violence as well. There's a wall that was built up with me. And I was so accustomed to fighting to protect myself because there was no one to protect me. Having this man come in my life and be now that protector, and me not having to be fight or flight or in survival mode all the time. But I had to learn how when we have disagreements, we weren't in a war, which is what I was accustomed to all the time. So my war consisted of going real low because that's how I had to fight with my ex-husband. And my husband had to sit down and have a conversation and say, we're not at war. We're not enemies. I'm your partner. I'm your lover. I'm your best friend. I'm your husband. We don't have to have disagreements in this way. And that's how he checked me. But it was the way that he did it. He didn't get on social media bashing me as a black woman. He didn't say, "Oh, you got a bad attitude," because I still always been respectful. But in those times of disagreement, I felt like I had to be defensive versus hearing and listening to what he was saying when he was listening, but I wasn't accustomed to that.
Mhm.
So there's a way to sit down and have conversations with Black women, but getting on social media bashing Black women, that is not the answer. Do some Black women have horrible attitudes? Absolutely. Do some Black women communicate in the worst way? Absolutely. But we're not the only ones. Although I know this conversation is centered around our Black women right now, we're not the only ones. And that goes negated because everybody's so focused on what Black women are doing. You're not looking at what other cultures are, and they're just as bad as we are. But all of the focus is always on Black women. Our passion becomes an attitude, our communication becomes an attitude, our quick wit is an attitude. You know, all of these things, we are demonized for being Black women, and in the way that we have conversations and communicate. We're having a very thoughtful conversation right now. Mel, you and I had a very thoughtful conversation. I don't agree with everything you say about Black women, but sometimes you are right. And sometimes we have to also acknowledge that. So I think the way you have conversations with Black women, give us that softness that you want to see from us. And we'll respond in kind. It'll kind of diffuse us a little bit, right?
That's a lot of us. That's not all of us, Kim and I. So I'm
Well,
just
I
gonna
made
say
that
this.
clear. I made
Oh
that very
yeah.
clear. So, yeah, you have to just, there's a way. I feel like we can all have conversations that are respectful of one another. But it's exhausting when I get on social media and our Black brothers are tearing Black women down.
It's disheartening. It's hurtful.
Very,
It is. It is. It is. It
very.
is
Because we
we
go
devastating.
hard. We go
we
hard for y'all.
So
when we
let's say,
speak
go ahead,
when
Miss
I
Smith.
speak to men, I've been speaking to them a lot about their heart posture. You can't say that you love Black women and then making all these demands on them, and then you as a man, you have to be what you're requiring. And I think a lot of times we are approached by people that don't have the right heart posture towards us. Now, another thing I specifically wanted to address is don't be rebuking no Black woman publicly. I love to have private conversations with people. If you have an issue with me, and this how I deal with people. If I have an issue with a person, I go to them. I have enough of respect for you that I would come to you in private and speak to you about whatever. Now that's a thing for me now. You got some issue with me, come to me and talk to me first. Don't be blasting me in public. They come let us what reason together. And I think a lot of times I keep telling our brothers, a lot of these problems that y'all have them too. I'm gonna say this. A lot of these issues that I may have with them, it don't start with us, it start with their mama. I'm just put that out there. Put it on out there. Starts with the person that gave birth to you. And you are not, I've often told men, if you got a problem with me, go sit down and write your mama a letter. Have a conversation with her because your problem is not with us. It starts
Mhm.
with her. Because that's the first person to teach you what love is, first person to teach you what love is not. So I think Black women can be corrected, but they have to be it's the approach. Now I'm gonna say something. Now I notice a certain age group, I say under 30. Now the issue I have, I'm just say this. They don't respond to love and correction at all. I'm a retired teacher. They don't respond to it is it's the disrespect sometimes. You know what I'm saying? It's the I'm telling you this, and I have to purpose and say, look, sister, I love you, but you out of order. And I understand that you giving it out, you're gonna get it back. But a lot of times we trying to correct young, and I'm gonna say what the Killen said. A lot of our young women have been raised up, they haven't been groomed in correction. My parents were very strict with correction. My mother was strict, my dad. So I'm used to the sound of correction. I respond to it. But the fact that you have some women that have not grown up with that, there goes that grace, there goes that love. And I just want to say, ladies, a lot of times I don't think our men know how to correct us in love. People around us, a black woman is she's a sensitive creature. She's sensitive. And I think there's a way to correct anybody. You can't correct her like she's a child because she's not finna respond to that. It has to be from a posture of true love, concern, and humanity. That's what I want to add to the conversation.
Nice. All right.
To backdoor that, I definitely agree that it starts like Kendall said. I came from a domestic violence relationship, and I knew when I got into this relationship that I was getting into a relationship with a hurt person. And I assumed that I had enough love to correct this person or to fix this person or to make that hole in their life better. And that wasn't for me to fix, nor could I do that. And you're right, it stemmed from his mother. And black men, you seem to kind of want the black woman to replace your mother or to fix that, but yet you want to be a man all in the same. I feel as if it starts with hurt children become hurt adults, or they start out with children and it starts with us and how we raise them. And ultimately they become this adult that doesn't know how to love, doesn't know how to care, doesn't know how to lead a household. I was raised by my grandmother. It's not any grandmothers or older people to instill what we used to have. Anybody in the neighborhood could come bring you home and whoop you or give you that criticism, and it wouldn't be a problem. Now we have this where don't say anything to my kids. It's no form of
Community.
care, or like you said,
Community.
I just feel that with the black woman, the approach to us has to be respectful, in an emotional, intelligent way, cultural awareness. Like the black woman has always been publicly harsh. We're always the butt of the content. Like we're the root of the racism and the misogyny. Always.
Absolutely.
It's
Yep.
so the feedback is always delivered in the ways that are the most harsh to us. It's never in the ways that, oh, we see this positive, but this is this. It's always leading with the negative. And we have, like you say, so many more strengths. Like my example, like I like the fact that Monique brought to attention that carry yourself in the way that you want to be treated. Like if
Yes.
you're running around here with your butt out, then what kind of man do you expect to get? If you I feel that it was one of those things, leave it to the imagination, that I was raised on. So I just feel that we as black women, we need that respect. We need a relationship. We need resilience. Definitely we have to learn how to empower each other. And like you said, take that criticism, not in a negative way, but in a way that, hey, we love you. But like Mel said on one of his things, I think the internet and hiding behind these computers and is allowing people to have this courage, or allowing people to be this way. And it's not fair. I don't think a lot of face-to-face encounters back in the day didn't happen like it's happening with the social media and the allowance of people to be bullies or mean, and not at one point in time would you really say this standing 10 toes down to this person.
Ever.
No. She
So
Hold on,
no.
Miss Smith. Hold on one second. All right, we're gonna come back around. All right, Lisa.
Well, I do want to respond to that because I do think we are harshly criticized in public, right? But you'll go home and love your wife. You'll big up somebody privately, but in public, you know, we have these public forums where we just want to talk negatively about black women for whatever reason. And like you said, a lot of times you're not gonna stand on that same thing if you're in that person's face. The other thing I want to say, I got to push back a little bit on the young people too, because I have the privilege of working with some very dynamic young women. And I think possibly a little bit we dropped the ball in some of the ways, in some of the things that we experienced, because we haven't wanted them to experience that same kind of harshness, and we wanted to give them a little bit more freedom and voice. Perhaps we dropped the ball on some of the things that we've pushed on them. But I gotta say, I work with some very, very dynamic 20s. I can say from 20 up to 29, the whole gamut. And they doing the thing. They
Yeah.
they they are
They're
doing.
doing it, but they are disrespectful. So I
They
will,
Some,
are.
some.
I
Thank you
will,
for
I will
saying that.
definitely talk, touch on that with Mrs. Met or for. But at the same time, Lisa, I totally agree with you because we tried to parent differently from our parents.
Mhm.
Of course, I'm Gen X. We allowed so much freedom, and then not only that, we wanted to become friends with our children instead of parenting them, right? And I think that's a lot of it. So now, and you not only that, now you have social media also telling them their parents are bullies. And then
Right.
I
Mhm.
also, when we were parenting, right, they're equating parenting to bullying. Um, but also, I wanted to talk on the part where beautiful Nana said we have to empower one another as Black women. The problem is we look at each other as competition.
Facts.
And that's
Ooh.
why we won't
Ooh.
empower one another. I come into spaces and immediately women act a certain way with me because I carry myself in a certain way. They don't get to know me. They immediately shut down or get this negative energy, and I match energy. So I'm not going to try to build on anything if I come into a space and I don't feel welcome, right? And I think until we stop trying to compete one another or looking at one another as competition all the time and remove some of the jealousy, we're never going to come together as women and empower, as Black women, and empower one another.
Because
So,
that's not our nature, right? That's not really true to us. That comes out of white supremacy and
Absolutely.
capitalism.
but let me ask this question. Let me ask y'all ladies this question.
And I still want to answer Mel.
I wanted to
Okay.
hear, I wanted
So
to hear.
I want to ask Kendall, since y'all talking about this competition. Now we know that comes from childhood.
No, it comes from white supremacy. Like
Comes
No,
from
but
literally,
I'm not saying it doesn't come from
comes
white.
from our system.
I'm not saying what I'm saying, and it shows up first in our families. That's all I'm saying. It
And
shows up
then,
first when we're little girls. Shows up first when we go to school. It shows up first when we go to church. We interact with our cousins. I can remember when I was a kid, girls had a problem with me because I had long hair. This was before we had weave, and it was a matter of I'm thinking I'm better, and I noticed it even carried over in my family. And I want to know that the question is, what can we do to stop that? Because we really can't come to harmony with as sisters until we combat the underlying of the competition and the jealousy.
We have
That
to start to look at the fact that this is a systemic thing. That's not about us. That's not how we operate, right? We live in community. That's why a lot of times it's hard for us to try to be individualistic. We live in community. We thrive in community. That's how we are. That's who we are. But we live in a society that is shaped around this individualistic. It's not enough for everybody. Look at the bill, the big beautiful bill that just passed, right?
yeah, please.
Because it's not enough. It's like this. It's not enough when we know we live in a space there's enough for everybody. And
mhm.
we have to live, we have to continue to be true to who we are and not buy into those ideologies and those systems.
Because the scripture tells us to envy not the ways of our oppressor. But what I'm saying, a lot of that stuff we picked up. That's the only point I'm making.
For
That we
sure.
picked up a lot of that stuff.
We just have to start, we have to be mindful. We have to start to do the work to unravel those things. And when it comes to correcting a Black woman, to me, I think correction without context, without care, without cultural understanding is just another form of control and humiliation.
And
We've been
police.
humiliated enough.
Yes.
And if we don't have those things in place, that's all that becomes. Correction comes through relationship, right? Relationship, like Kendall was just saying with her husband. There's a relationship there. There's a reciprocity there. We understand each other. We're not enemies on this thing.
Mhm.
If I'm coming to you and I'm saying something to you, I'm saying it because I want you to be better, because I want us to be better. There's a level of respect there. And when that respect is
Mhm.
out, when that respect is gone, there is no correction, right?
Yeah.
You can't, how you gonna correct somebody you don't have no respect for? At least you show, or it looks like, it appears even, that you don't
Yeah.
have respect for that person. You can't correct me. You don't have no relationship with me. Even I worked in behavioral health, in working with people with autism, working with people with special needs. You don't have a relationship with that person. You can't go up to that person and tell them, hey, don't do that. Hey, not you,
Mhm.
there has to be a relationship.
Yeah.
That's true. I used to tell my parents when I would meet with them about their kids, I said, listen, rules without relationship can always lead to rebellion. You have no relationship with your child. just barking rules at them, there's no relationship. So they're gonna rebel. So I agree with everything that she said, to everything that she's saying.
And it goes back to what you said in terms of honoring our humanity. A lot of times, Black men and Black women, this is a conversation about Black women, we've been dehumanized. It's very easy for other people outside to dehumanize us, right? If you can make somebody think that, oh, because they don't have the proper diction, they walk with their hands down, they don't have a haircut, that means that they can be treated like an animal.
Mhm.
Then it's very easy to not give them the things that they deserve and the things that they need. It's very easy to disrespect them and to talk bad about them. But if we can talk to each other and bring ourselves to a point of humanity, that changes the game a lot.
Yeah. I wanted to touch on something real quick, Mel, and I know you're ready to move to the next question. Beautifully Nana mentioned how Black men are mad with their moms. I want to elaborate that. I think Black men are mad with the dads that left them, and they're taking it out on the moms.
So
And
I
I
need
think
to pass.
and I think the moms are overcompensating by trying to fix things that we didn't break. And then by doing so, we're enabling, we're overloving, we're coddling, we're smothering, we're too codependent. And I think that's also playing a part in as to why so many Black men are angry with their mothers. Some of it is not even towards us. We're just getting the brunt of it. They're really angry with the fathers that have abandoned them in some way, but they're not even thinking that not only were they abandoned, but that mother was abandoned and left to take on the responsibility of two people. So I just wanted to kind of touch on
And let me say this too. Before she a lot of times your children don't understand that you are a person. You're a person. You're a parent, but you're a person, and that you gonna make mistakes. They have you sometime on this thing where they're saying, "Well, you my mama." Da da da. Like she said, sometimes we don't even get grace from our children. And the father sometimes, it's like, okay, there's not shared responsibility, like she's saying. Fathers of my grandmother always told me, she said, men are forgiven. That is something that she told me. The world forgives men easily, but women, she said, I don't know what it is, but it's gonna always be held against you. And she said, that's just how society. She said, I don't know if it's gonna be like that when you become, and that was when I was a teenager, but nothing much has changed. But she's always telling me that the world is forgiving towards men. That's just I guess that's what the patriarchy we live in, but it's not so forgiving toward us. So I just wanted to add that to the conversation.
Briefly, Nana, you were saying something. You have something?
Go, no.
Okay. So, ladies, amazing, that spirited conversation. But I had a couple pushbacks, but I'm just gonna do one in the interest of time. So, are we leaving this portion of the conversation, saying that there's no such thing as public criticism for Black women? I asked that because of this. You mentioned that you only can say it if you have a relationship. You said no open rebukes. Pull someone to the side first.
Mm-mm.
But when you look at people who have done it the right way, I'm asking who can correct a Black woman publicly or individually, because you look at Shahrazad Ali back in the 80s, she went on Donahue and Oprah or any platform that she could and tried to offer correction towards Black women. She's actually still doing it today, and she was called everything but a child of God and almost hung. But as recent as today, you have Felicia Rashad, who
I'll
a few
use that
months ago,
example, but go
early this
ahead.
year, went forward and just said simply, put clothes on. And this legendary queen was exiled basically by Black women. So I just want to know: are we leaving this portion of the conversation saying that Black women can't receive any public correction? Because I sit on here with women who have powerful voices, and am I going to not see any public correction for anyone
Certain demographic, certain
on your
demographic.
platform going
But
forward?
I also think that Felicia Rashad was not, I don't think she was exiled. I think it was what she was saying was coming from still a different kind of place. Like, just because wear different clothes, we're not going to, we are sitting here saying we're having a conversation, we're not being more respected because we wear different clothes, because we speak a certain way, because you went to a certain school, because your hair is a certain, you are being disrespected because of the color of your skin and who you are. That changing your clothes, that we can't say that there shouldn't be standards and things like that. She's speaking to that. I don't think she's exiled for that, but I also think it doesn't speak to the deeper issue that gets us disrespect. We have sat up, we have gotten the education, we've gotten 2 master's degrees, we've gotten certification, we've gotten all the things, and we still have disrespect. So it's not about her the clothes. I just think her comment was short. And Shahrazad Ali, please. I mean, if y'all still agree with her and the things that she's saying, I don't. And I ain't for it. That type of oppression.
I agree with some of her points that some women do have arrested development, and I think that stems from trauma. I do agree with that. I don't know if y'all understand. Sometimes you deal with Black women, it's like, okay, so we're not communicating in the same frequency, language, and there's a delay. Um, and I want to speak to this. There's a certain let me say this. There's a certain demographic of Black women that cannot be corrected. Certain demographic. I'm not gonna go into okay, so let me just say this. You know that group that when
Please.
Monique told them not to put by the bonnets. Let's go there. Okay, I wrote a note of that. There was nothing wrong with what Monique said about the bonnets.
I agree.
There's nothing wrong with it. But like I said, it's a certain demographic. Us ladies may not be that demographic because I don't go outside looking like that. I come from a Generation X. We didn't go outside our house looking like that. My mother, grandmother, you go outside, you represent me. You better make sure you dress appropriately because you represent me. So to what she's saying is we have to understand that there's a certain demographic of women who have not been raised in a village of tribe of women who have taught them grooming, just basic grooming. So they respond to what Mel's point. And from what I'm noticing, the younger they are, the more is pushback. It's the younger group. Now I'm not saying all young people, let's just say this, but I noticed the younger they're getting, the less they respond to people helping them.
They're
Because
responding less to the dominance of the patriarchy, is what they're.
okay, but I'm not the patriarch. I'm saying.
I mean, we got it, but we got to speak to
hold
that.
on,
And
hold on.
this is why sometimes it can
But
seem.
I'm just making this point now.
Okay, sorry.
There were times I would speak to my female students, especially my Black students. I pull them and say, what you got on? What you got on? And then sometimes, you know what? They would tell me, I don't have no clothes. So I didn't embarrass them. You understand what I'm saying? So there's a way to do it. But then what I'm noticing since I stopped teaching middle school and teaching a certain demographic, they do not respond because let me tell you something. They tell you I don't have to do what you say. They don't listen. This is in my 30 years. They don't listen. They tell you I don't have to listen to you. You're not my mother. And I know y'all can test that. There used to be a time you could speak to kids and say, listen, da 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 da. Okay, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. But what I've noticed in the past 10 years
That's
is
gone.
low, and it's getting worse. So I'm not saying that for the most part, most of us, we grew up and we were groomed to be ladies. But there's a certain demographic of women who are loud in the Walmart. They act in all kind of way in public. You can't say anything to them, or they that vitriol towards you. That's all I'm saying.
Let me kind of rebuttal on to that. I think it's one of those, if you don't know any better, you won't do any better. We have to go back to understand that you got a lot of young people having kids that are kids themselves. So how do you teach someone something that you don't even know yourself? So you're right. It's not any people teaching people or grooming. It used to be etiquette classes. It used to be health classes. It used to be home ec classes to teach you how to be different things in society. So if you don't have that, then how am I supposed to know how to carry myself? I think, like you were saying, we're all old enough and at that point where we were raised to say you don't walk out the house with these type of clothes on. You don't walk out the house with your butt showing. You don't go to church with this type of things on. We were raised like that because that's what we were taught and what was given to us. But I don't see that being reciprocated now in society or with people. No one's trying to teach anybody these things that should make them better, to not be loud in Walmart, to not act like this. No one said, hey, this is not how you conduct a disagreement. No one knows how to fight fair or the correct way for me and that I watch. I'm a teacher as well. I taught middle school, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, and you're right, they're very you dang near have to fight these kids. And they're big as you are. You're right, you're not my mama. But at the same time, these kids were the biggest babies and would cry, turn around and cry on your shoulder because there was no one at home. There was no one that loved them. And the most love that they got was from them teachers that came there every day that fussed at them. So kids are crying out for certain things that I see as being a teacher, but they're not getting them. They're not getting that. And I think this is because the lack of resources that we have as Black people. And again, I think it, like Lisa said, it starts with therapy. It starts with recognizing and talking and speaking about all of these things to address something to fix. We're so scared to talk and say, I got the same problem. I'm going through the same thing. A lot of us are going through the same thing and have been through the same thing, but we're carrying ourselves as if we're better than the next person when we're actually the same person in silence, to me.
So how do you correct those types?
Miss May, let Kendall get on, then we come back.
I'm sorry, Kendall. I'm sorry.
To answer your question, when you said, so can Black women be corrected? There's two things for me. One, why do you feel like you always need to correct Black women? That's number one. And number two, again, I think, when it comes to the things like what we're talking about, like what Felicia Rashad said, I'm sure I've heard the other young lady. Probably, I would have to go back and check some of her messages. Why is there a need to always correct Black women? Because that goes back to that policing of Black women. That's number one. Number two, yes, we should be able to publicly, and when I say we, men too, correct Black women, but I'm still going to say there's a way to correct Black women. And that is not what we're seeing. We're not seeing correction coming from love from Black men. We're seeing degradation. We're seeing disrespect. We're seeing to me, sometimes our Black brothers are more dangerous than white men. I see it in my comments when they come in my comments talking about the experiences of mothers, the vile things that I have seen from my Black brothers who don't know me. And I'm a great mother. I'm never going to let anyone challenge me on that. But the things that they immediately say, it's never any, well, sis, did you do this? Or how did you do this? It's an automatic attack on Black women. And that's the problem. And like I said, correction, yes. But then I also have to speak to Mrs. Met's comment as well, as far as the disrespect. This younger generation, you can't correct them. You can't correct them. And I'm not going to say it's all coming from home. I am going to say that they are a generation that lacks any empathy, grace, respect. I see it all the time, especially on the platform in which I manage, talking about moms. And I'm a male, again, you and I had a very good conversation on both sides of motherhood. I agree with things that you said. We had some conversations around that. My platform is not to speak up for mothers who are right all the time, because I know that nobody is. Mother, child, no one. However, even I can tell the generations that come in my comments, if they're millennials, it's what about me, what about me, what about me? That age group that's below millennials, it's attacks and disrespect immediately. And then when I challenge them logically, then they have gone to the point where they have threatened me. Because their emotional maturity is lacking. And they don't know how to have conversations I'm sure Lisa has great conversation, but I'm sure there's walls that Lisa has to break through to get to those conversations before to break down that combativeness, right? And we're happy to have a dialogue, but I also think even with them, there's a way to have a dialogue. I would never walk up to someone and say a certain thing because I know that's going to automatically put them under defense.
Mhm.
But I see it all the time. So I think all of us are saying very similar things, and there is a problem. But yes, we should be able to be publicly corrected. But again, why are y'all always trying to correct Black women?
I would like to know why is
Because
that
they can't,
important?
because
Exactly.
they can't correct their mother.
Is that my question?
Yes, for the man.
For the man on the line.
Well, the thing is, for me, it's comes from a place of love, most definitely. And of course, the first Black woman I was introduced to was my mother, who inhibits a ton of the things I discuss. However, because I was able to see that through her and have healing with that relationship with her, I see that same brokenness from her, from child molestation that she went through, lack of parenting that she went through, that she was acting out. Everything she did was acting out. So when I see a woman doing that same thing, I approach them in the same manner I approach my mother. Because at times, I don't know if anyone has this experience, you have to parent your parent.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
So there was times where me and her would have discussions. I'm counseling her through her issues. So because of that, and I believe in shame. I believe in shame. I believe in public shame, not just for Black women, for anyone. I believe that works. I remember a time where wearing wigs was an embarrassing thing. I don't know
Hmm.
about y'all. I remember a time when wearing
No, you're
wigs
right.
was an
Mhm.
embarrassing thing.
You right. We
And
generation X. Only people where we were.
What was embarrassing?
wearing
Wearing
weaves and
wigs.
wigs, like
Oh,
that was an embarrassing thing. And it shifted to the point where it used to say, well, that ain't your hair. Well, it's my hair. I paid for it. But now it's my hair. And I'm only saying that because we have this thing where we change negatives into positives to the point we say it, we regurgitate things so often that now it becomes a reality. Now it becomes who we are. And now you ain't wrong for doing that thing. Whoever says something about you doing that thing is wrong. So I believe, in my view, Black women has monopolized criticism. And there's nobody in my view, y'all get mad. I love y'all, all four of y'all. I love all four of y'all. But there's no one who is more opinionated than Black women
That's true.
well,
about
speaking.
about other things, but yet will tell you that no one can say anything about them. So
That's
that to
true.
me, it's not fair. It's not fair, and I think the things that not only Black women do, but we all do things that are public. One of the worst things that ever happened to our society is this thing here on the back, the camera. So we all are doing things publicly, and everyone is getting their shame. But you can't tell me
Shame
that Black women should be
So
excluded
can
from
I?
it.
So can I?
shame is not helpful though. Shame, if the goal is love and the goal is accountability, shame makes accountability
Agreed.
harder, not easier. Shame shuts down your nervous system.
Mhm.
Shame reinforces systems of oppression. It disconnects you from your true self. So if the goal is really love, I mean, how is shame? Shame
It's
is
not equated. It's not
Let me,
equal.
let me
If,
use an.
if it's about correcting us in a right way, why do you need to shame us or embarrass us? Because
that's about
again,
control.
that's about misogyny and about control. Because like I just don't understand that. And then again, why is the correction always towards Black women? Why are
No,
we being policed? You know what I'm saying? Like I agree.
everybody gets it.
Can I?
Everyone gets it.
Can I
Yeah,
ask?
Who gets
but
it?
I think
Because
there's a way that it can be done. Like Lisa
Can
said,
I?
I'm not gonna try to shame someone into changing. I'm not gonna shame someone because they wear lace front wigs. Do I like them? Absolutely not. But that's my
Me.
opinion. That I don't have a right to tell someone not to wear their lace front wig. You know what I'm saying? Just because I don't think it's appealing.
So the reason
Go ahead, Lisa.
I think that you to answer your question about why Black women need to correct it is because we are the ones out here showing our asses.
Not all of us. I don't
no,
show
Um,
we're not.
my
Oh, let me finish.
We're
Let me finish.
not.
Let me finish making my point, please.
Well, baby, you have made several points, and we have sat here and listened to
Oh,
you.
I'm answering your question. You asked, why do black women need to be corrected? Okay.
Uh-huh.
But society sees, when we go out and we see how these people see us.
White people.
Hmm.
I just, I'm not saying white people. Okay.
Well, who you were when you say just? I
Let
just
me,
want to be clear
let
who
me
you.
finish making my point.
I want you to, but I want you to be clear about who is these people.
I'm going to make my point.
I just
Okay.
want to know who these people
We're
are.
doing
Can
well,
I,
ladies. We're doing well. Let's just
I finish
talk one at
making
a
my
time. One at a
point.
time.
No, you
Finish
can.
making.
I'm sorry. I'm not taking away from your point. I was just trying to figure out who these people
Can I
are. We're talking.
can I get to it though?
Yeah.
I'm gonna walk you to it. Walk you to it. When we go out in public and we interact with people of all cultures, I'm talking about no white people. You got white people outside, Asian people, you got all other people outside in the real world. Okay. I already discussed how we go out, how our sisters go outside and show their ass. Now, I've already spoken to, it's a certain demographic of women. Not talking about all of us. We interact with these people. We interact with each other, and there are certain demographic of these people. And they put a bad taste, a bad representation on us. And then I say this, we are left to disprove that all of us are not like this. We go out in public. When we go out in public, we have to prove. Sometimes I find myself having to overextend myself. Yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. So we're not gonna act like black women don't go out here sometimes showing their ass in public. And when I say that, loud, disrespectful, cussing, bad, you want customer service, but you're speaking to people that you want to help you with disrespect.
But
So
that's
that's
not just black women.
okay, but that's we are the ones doing that. You can't get upset that is highlighted because it's
It's
us.
highlighted because we're black, but it's not just us doing that.
And it's
Okay,
also not our responsibility. Like, it's not our responsibility. We have to put that down. It is not my responsibility to carry my whole race. If one of us does something, it is the whole race that is policed. We have to change that. You can't tell me it's my responsibility as what doing what I do. If somebody down the street in Houston does something, now I'm the one responsible for what that person does. No, we are individuals, but we don't allow
that's no, we not.
we are
We're seen as
individuals. We are
individuals.
individuals. We are the
We
only
are
ones.
seen
We
as
are
individuals.
you wanted to make your point, Ms. Met.
We're
We
not
are the
individuals.
only ones who are given that charge to carry our entire race. We are individual people. Yes, we work in community with each other, but we are individual people, and we cannot continue to carry the burden of the entire race. That's one of the very things that makes us angry. That's one of the very things that keeps this trope alive, that we feel like we have to carry so much of everybody else's burden. It is not our burden to carry the entire race. If somebody can't see, they're not going to see us. How many years we've been in this country? They're not going to see you as better because one or worse. That is just how it is seen. Unless we change our own narrative for our own selves and start to define ourselves for ourselves, we're going to continue to find ourselves having the
But
same
that's not
conversation.
how society sees us.
Correct.
It doesn't. It's not about how
It
society sees
does
us.
matter. It
Society will see
absolutely
us the
does
way that
matter.
it's how we see ourselves. And as
No.
long as we keep seeing
Mm-mm.
ourselves in a certain way, and we keep playing up to what somebody else has defined for us, that was never. We can't even meet those expectations. There's
Nope.
no way for us to do it.
Not
I
a
cannot
matter
carry
of,
the burden of everything every black woman does. I can't do it. I won't do it.
But
it's
we
not
And if
but
we
we
continue to
do it.
try, then we're not helping ourselves.
But how
it's
do
not
this entire conversation has been? I'm saying this in love as well. Has been when we speak on the positives of what us as black women do and are, it's us. But when it's a negative, it's those individuals. So
Hmm.
what are we showing? Like what are we really trying to produce? I'm not by all means. Every time I make a video, I'm not putting all women in a box. I don't say all. I say black women, and I'm speaking in general, but it may not be the majority for that specific instance. And when I say shame earlier, I was simply talking about calling out the negative behavior for what it is, and that's it. But every video I do, or at least majority, I try to end with a positive note and how I'm praying for that person and what could possibly happen if they turn to the other side. But the shame is not necessarily for that person. It's for anybody else that's watching. Because we, regardless if we want to look at it or not, or admit it or not, majority of us operate in a mob mentality. So if we see the majority of people calling something out, then they will not want to participate in that, whatever that is. But what happens is the mob mentality is on the opposite. I start to get attacked for calling something that we all agree is negative, but they just don't agree on my right to say it. So I get caught. So
That's
because of,
unfair. I don't think I do. I see your point, and it is unfair. I think anyone should be able to speak to it.
Mhm.
But if you're making a mockery of it, I think that's why it may not be received in the right way.
okay,
Yeah.
well, I didn't.
That's my perspective. But no,
No,
I
I
don't
respect
think it
it.
should be isolated to only a woman can speak about black women. Only black women can. No, only black women should speak about black women. But or black men can't. I just think that if you're trying to make a mockery or like you said bring shame in whatever your perspective or your reasoning is, I think that's where the problem lies. You know what I'm saying? I think when you make a mockery of it, are all black women doing things that are not embarrassing? Absolutely not. I talk about it quite often. Do I know myself as an individual, and I, like Lisa said, I'm not responsible for someone being in a restaurant twerking. Do I think it's appropriate? Absolutely not. That's not the time or the place. If it is a restaurant and it's not a club, is it my place to go and correct her? That's where I don't feel like that's my place to do so. Will I frown upon it? Absolutely. But am I going to take ownership of it? Absolutely not, because I'm sitting at my table sipping my wine and she's twerking. So that's not me. That has nothing to do with me. You know what I'm saying? But I also do see how we are lumped into one thing. But why don't we lump all white people as racist? We're seeing this around our country, and it seems to be far more reaching than the good people. We can't even see the good people because the racism is overshadowing it. But do we lump all of them in one basket?
We kind of do. We kind of do. We
And
kind of do. I
got the
mean, we don't. I don't think we have. Go ahead, Miss Matt. We're gonna final thoughts on this, and we're gonna move forward, Miss Matt.
the point I'm making is until we acknowledge some truth about ourselves in regards to there are some things about us, a lot of our women that's dysfunctional. And I think some of our women, the dots don't connect. Like I use, for example, Krishan, Blueface baby mama. There's a disconnect of being able to arrested development. And I think a lot of our young women suffer from arrested development because of the trauma that they are experiencing from children. Some of them stuck at 12. They may be 30, but they stuck at 12. So you're not talking to somebody that's 30, you're talking to somebody that's 12. And this is not exclusive to black women. This is exclusive to young black boys are suffering from this. And she was talking about how the young men come in her comments. That's a result of trauma, whatever experience they having in their childhood. Because only children respond like that. They respond personal attacks, disrespect. Adults don't respond like that. So until black women acknowledge that first of all, we are not perfect. We're not perfect. We are flawed, but there's some dysfunction. Until we acknowledge that we are seen as a group. We're seen as a group. The world doesn't see us even internationally. I notice the disrespect internationally. They don't respect us. And it's because of, when I say it's no individuals, first thing people notice about me is my skin color. That's the first thing they notice. So until we acknowledge that we are seen as a group of people, that there are positives and negatives, And that there's some things that we need to work on as a group of people. This conversation, black
I,
women cannot be corrected.
I just came back from Kenya. They do not see us as black people.
Did I say
They
Kenya?
see they.
You go to the Middle
I'm
East.
sorry. Wait.
Go to the Middle
You
East.
just
Go to
made
the Middle
you just
East.
made
Oh,
your
Miss
point,
Matt.
Miss Matt. I'm not trying to trample on what you're saying.
Go to the Middle East and over there and be disrespectful.
I'm
Hold
not
on, Miss
saying
Matt.
that.
Please.
I'm not saying that at all. What I'm speaking to is the burden that we have to carry to be responsible for our whole race. And what I can say is that in other countries they see us as Americans. We have to remind we tell them that our experience is different than other Americans, but they don't see us as
They are black niggas just like everybody, like the white folks do.
okay.
All right.
But
That's
All
not.
right.
the other part I want to say is that some of what we discussed are the tools to I mean what this correction of black women and this checking black women is just that these are tools of control and they're tools of the I think Audre Lorde said that the master's house, the master's tools will never dismantle the master's house. We only using the same things that were given to us from slavery. Like that's not even where our history began, but our history in this country began. If you're not looking at the roots of the things and where it comes from, and you're only looking at the result of it, of course you're going to have these things happen and people act a certain way, but never looking at the root of it is not that's not going to serve us.
And the narrative that's being pushed.
Yeah.
The narrative that's being pushed by social media. Why don't you see the professional women like ourselves? Why don't you see very little of that? I don't care what your algorithm is. Why don't we see the black women that are traveling, enjoying their lives? You see very little of that, but you're going to see the ignorance because that's also what they are pushing. That's the agenda to push that collectively. So I just think, there's this conversation cannot be unpacked in 1 hour. You know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? This is a deeper conversation. This is a panel conversation retreat, 3 days person, black men, black women get in the room and have these conversations and have them in a respectful way and not only in a way to listen and not just to be defensive. And that's on both sides.
And to understand.
And to understand. There's such a lack of understanding
All
collectively, generationally, demographically, all of that. No one is listening to anyone anymore. We're all listening to social media. And they are paid to push a certain agenda. And I don't think people are really recognizing that. The same way with Christianity, that is a colonial thing that has been pushed to control black people. But y'all don't want to have that conversation.
Ooh, you're gonna get in trouble, Miss. Yeah,
Christianity is
you're
not.
gonna get
And I will stand
Like
on it,
start some
Lisa.
stuff at the end of the thing.
the
So
original Bible was written in Ethiopian, but see, you need to do your history about that.
regardless, the
right.
Bible that we
Not
read
like
is
that.
colonial,
That's
colonized.
the lie y'all feed people.
Well, that's your opinion.
So it's
And you
not
Well,
my
said, no, it
history.
is your opinion.
That's his.
We're not here to debate this.
Yeah, but see, we're not here to debate. But I made a point.
See, you want to be combative, and that's not what
I'm
I'm here
not
for.
combative at all. But I
look at
find
Jeanette.
it offensive because you would never say anything about anybody Islamic faith. You would never say
I didn't
anything about
say
anybody.
anything
It's the
about
same
another
thing.
faith.
It's the
Never
same
say
It's
thing
the
anything
with
same
about.
thing.
You would never say anything about any Jewish faith.
Listen, I'm not about to debate
And with
religion.
that, you would never do that.
Mel.
I'm
What
not
you got?
about to debate religion. I said what I said, and that's what I mean.
All right. And I love y'all to death.
I brought it up.
Hold on, Gen X. Hold on, Gen X. Look at y'all. We made it this whole time. All right. That's a perfect segue to our next question. Final question. And I'm going to let you guys get out of here. What part of the struggle narrative do you reject? And what part do you still carry? We're going to start with Beautiful Nana.
So for me, I reject the idea that struggle must be consistent for life to be meaningful, that suffering somehow is noble by default, or that we must earn the worth through pain. I reject the belief that my ideas should only be defined to what I have endured rather than what I've built, I've dreamed, or what I've loved about. I also reject the narrative that we must always be strong and vulnerable, soft, and the rest for the weakness. So, and the part that I carry as far as the resilience part, I carry the resilience of the grit, the depth of empathy that comes with knowing hardships and carrying the understanding that many systems are unjust, that they're going to be pushed back against me through different matters. I carry that stories and our struggles will become our legacy, and that I carry the commitment to not waste the labor and the love that I've already have established for me.
Love it. Love it. Very concise. I love it. Lisa.
I reject the idea that I have to bleed to belong.
Ooh.
That I have to have some type of pain, that I have to suffer, that that trauma is our only origin story. And I like what Bell Hooks said, and I wrote it down, that love is a place of belonging that doesn't require pain as a payment. That's it for me. But I still carry the parts of the struggle that are ancestral wisdom. Even my grandmother, having her first child at 15 years old, being born 2 years after Harriet Tubman passed.
Oh, wow.
I carry the struggle of ancestral wisdom, endurance, resourcefulness. Ask anybody about me, they will tell you I am resourceful. And it's because I stand on the shoulders of such strength. I still hold on to spiritual grounding. I still hold deep community. I believe that we heal in community when we can get in community and thrive. And but I don't carry them alone. I carry them into spaces that make room for healing, softness, and rest. And I pray that this room could be a room for for, for healing, softness, and rest.
Love it. Love it. Kendall.
I carry resilience. Similar to Lisa, I speak on my ancestors quite often. The ones that walk before me, the ones that walk with me, and even the ones, not the ancestors, but the ones that I'm leading the way for, right? I will always stand on truth and healing. I will stand on the fact that even though I'm a Black woman, I'm not here to serve anyone. I'm here to serve a purpose. And my resilience does not mean that I cannot rest.
Lovely. Miss Matt.
Okay, so I'm gonna say this. I reject the part of the struggle that tells me that my God has abandoned me and that my suffering is meaningless. And the love is an actual word. Love does. Love does. It's an action word. Love does and it is. So I reject the notion that I only need God when I'm sick. That that is my responsibility to honor him, to honor my community, honor my people in a respectful way. That's all I got, Mel.
I love it.
Thank
I love it. Man, we have a impactful question here in the chat from Pastor Angela Smith that I just want to open up to anyone that would like to answer. She says, "What can I do to help change the narrative of our Black women at large?" She's referring to individually. What can you do? Anyone want to answer that?
Can you repeat the question?
What can I do to help change the narrative of our Black women at large?
For me, I'll go. I think it's you again, like Lisa stated. I cannot carry the burdens of someone else. I cannot carry the decisions or the consequences or the actions of someone else. So I think it ultimately starts with you. If you as a person walk around and show humanity for the next person, if you as a person walk around and try to make a change in this world, it has to start with you. We have to start being Martin Luther King's, Harriet Tubman's. We have to be, someone has to step out there and walk out on faith. It might not always be great in result, but it has to start with someone. So if someone doesn't step up, then where are we going from here? So if it's individually done, that means if it's 4 of us women doing that same thing, that's 4 women in this world, there's 4 more women. It trickles. Everyone should want to walk in love, in humanity, and then I think that will make a change. But it starts with you.
Mm.
So I'm gonna say this first of all. In order to be successful at spreading the fruits of the spirit, Black women got to start operating in the spirit of pride. Got to start operating in the spirit of pride. Got to stop being prideful. You cannot have influence over anybody with pride. They're not going to listen to anything you have to say. There has to be the fruits of the spirit of love, kindness, patience, consideration. Those have to be a part of your very character and makeup. And then, people they'll take to it. They'll say, "Well, you have something I don't. How do I get that?"
Hmm. It's good stuff. Anyone else want to tackle that? Or all right, man.
Oh,
This is
I do.
oh,
I
go
thought Kendall was gonna say something. I just want
ahead. Go ahead.
Oh,
to
I know that too.
live and speak your truth out loud. Choose
Exactly.
choose choose softness without apology. Choose rest. Create spaces. Go into spaces where and realize that we can exist in chaos and in peace. Right? We can't be absent of that. But how do we show up in that? Realize how you want to show up and tell your truth. Tell the full story. Although shame would have us not, but be sure to tell your true story and to be comfortable living in what you know and learning and growing.
And respecting different perspectives.
Yeah.
But back to her original question, I don't feel like we are responsible to fix anyone else but ourselves. That's just my perspective. I believe that if you carry yourself in a certain way and you respond in a certain way, and if you behave in a certain way, hopefully you trust that people will take that on as well. But I don't feel like that's another burden that Black women should be carrying to fix anyone outside of themselves.
Love it, love it, love it. Ladies, it's been an incredible conversation. I appreciate you all so much. Anyone in the room want to plug anything before we leave?
Well, I just want to say I really I feel honored to that you asked me to be a part of the part your live stream. I'm kind of moving away from TikTok, and it's gonna give me opportunity to speak to a certain demographic of young women. I've been effective in some areas with young women. They respond to what I present and stars God, man, woman, children. So, but I'm gonna have to get with you. Set up how to do this stuff
I
because
got
I'm kind of move away from TikTok. TikTok is the devil's app. It's the
you.
devil's app.
I hear you.
On Facebook, people just free to run wild and do whatever. That's why sometimes I don't want to hear all that. But we have to learn to listen with understanding, not listen to respond.
Okay.
So,
All right.
yeah.
Anyone else?
I do. I want to say, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go
No,
ahead.
no, go ahead, Miss Lisa. Go ahead.
Okay. I just want to say, just changing the narrative by refusing to repeat the lies that I've inherited and the lies that we have inherited. And just remember that we are not here to survive the story. We're here to tell a new one. And we can do that together. It's time. I'm gonna say this because it keeps coming back to me, but we gotta drop the cape. It's not we can rest, we can have softness, we can have love, passion, and we can not be here to always be of service, but we can be in service. I love how you said that, Kendall. We can be in service to our purpose.
Indeed. And you have a handle on Instagram, correct? Did you want to share that?
My Instagram and my TikTok is Lisa M Blunt, as on the screen L.LPC.
Awesome. All right.
And I kind of just want to backdoor to them. It was a pleasure to be on this panel with you, beautiful ladies and strong Black women, and the talks that we had. I just want to put out in the world too. We always need to be us, no matter what it is. Being in a room, don't dumb ourselves down to make anyone else feel better. Carry yourself with pride and lead with love. Always, I try to do. So thank you, Mel, yet again, and thank you, ladies. It was a beautiful experience.
I want to say one thing as a retired educator, you continue to endure loving our children because sometimes we are the only love that our students experience. So I want to encourage you. So that's what I wanted to say.
Indeed, indeed. And be you. Oh my God, I got to the end and struggling with it again. Be you fully, be you
Beautifully
fully. Nah,
nah.
nah. That's where they
is
can
my
find you on
name.
TikTok, right?
It's the phonetics of it that
I
messes me
know
up.
it. It get me, boy. I'm like, man,
Yeah,
what's going on?
it's just still beautifully, but it's spelled and broke up as BU always, and the F and the U is capitalized because if they don't like it, F you.
I
No,
know that's right. I love it.
that's what it stands for and how it breaks down. But yes, sir, you can find me on all platforms at Beautifully Nana. So anybody can follow me. And yes, I love you, ladies. And it was just a wonderful experience. I'm just gonna say.
Awesome. All right, Kendall.
Same thing. You can find me on all social media handles at Momsht. Again, my platform is based on speaking the authentic truth to motherhood and talking about the taboo topics that are keeping women in silence, like estrangement, parental abuse, and so forth. If you are a single mother, or if you are a mother, not a single mother, and you're dealing with estrangement, parental abuse, or all those things that you don't want to talk about because silence is keeping you, shame is keeping you in silence, grab my book also, Reclaiming Your Identity. It is available on my website, momshuti.com, and on Amazon as well. And it is helping thousands of moms around the world right now to regain and be empowered amidst dealing with estrangement and any type of parental contention with adult children. So I'm clear.
Can I add something?
Go ahead.
I just want to say I'm learning, right? To say the things that God pushes me to say. So Kendall, my friend sent me your video because she was estranged from her daughter. And I just want you to know the power and the things that she is learning from you and gaining from you as a result of the work that you're doing.
Thank you. I'm grateful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Kendall's a big time, and
I didn't even know you were going to be here today. So.
Yeah, and I appreciate each and every one of you ladies. It's been incredible once again. I appreciate everyone in the back chat. Y'all cold as well.
Thank you, my friends and family that joined the live.
Friends and
Appreciate
family, Miss
you.
Met brought the crew with her, and I love it. But thank you guys once again. We'll let you enjoy the rest of your day. We'll talk to you later.
Thanks,
Anytime.
Jill.
Thank
Thank you.
Yes. Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Mel. Thank you for joining my channel. Thank you for checking things out here. Oftentimes, we go on people's pages and are like, man, what is going on here? What is the purpose of this channel? So let me be clear. The purpose of this channel is to speak truth regarding the nuclear family. And when I say truth, I'm not saying my truth, not your truth, but the Lord's truth. All about the word, all about the ways and the will of God. What does he have to say about the nuclear family? And I believe the generations of today, whether it be Gen X, millennials, Gen Z, Gen Y, whatever the case may be, I believe now we have a very toxic relationship regarding marriage, regarding family, regarding having children. We're in a toxic dynamic as we speak. And honestly speaking, a lot of the answers that we're looking for in our community, a lot of the cures and a lot of the answers would come from a proper, fulfilled family home. If you go down the line of everyone's individual trauma, there you will find some negligence or some type of issue that they had with their parents. So here on this channel, we address those things head on. We don't place fear in those issues and avoid the topic. We do what Jesus did. And when he said, don't assume that I came for peace, but I came with a sword. I came to turn family members against family members if it means you following me. If you have to cut them off, if you have to address them and have arguments for you to follow me, so be it. And I think at this point in our society, we're at the so be it stage. So here at Life Coaching by Mel, I'm all about bringing healing to that. And the number one way to do that is have honest conversations. So if that's something you like, that's something you're into, that's something you really want to be a part of, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Be sure to comment. Let me know what you think about everything. I do my best to respond as often as I can. I want to hear from you guys. This is not about me. It's about healing our nation, healing our states, healing our cities, healing our community, healing our homes. Love you guys. Take care.
Let's go.